enough. Like, it's not awful.
Yeah. I mean, it's still complete piss water compared to stuff you get out of a coffee machine.
Yeah, well,
like your lattes and whatnot that you can make out of the. Our office just got a new coffee machine, so everyone's just been going apeshit because they've had withdrawals because we've been out of a coffee machine for about a week. People would break down. Yeah, the office would catch fire.
So yeah. Someone would just get carried away in a sort of anti-caffeine fit and just start lighting fires everywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the OCG show, unofficially brought to you by KFC and absolutely positively windy as fuck. My name's Abe Foster, and I'm joined.
Do you have KFC, Abe, and you're not letting us in on this?
I don't have KFC, but I've been liaising with KFC over this past week.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, not in a business sense, just in a personal sense.
Oh, right.
I've been posting to KFC on their Facebook, and they replied to me, and that sort of made my week.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yeah, you sort of just like sent them a love heart or something, eh?
They sent me a love heart.
Quality social media.
So therefore, they're now the proud unofficial sponsor of the Overcast Gamer Show.
Excellent.
Yeah. And of course, Wellington City Council. You're joined by me. My name's Abe Foster. I'm also joined by cronies.
Reagan Harper.
That's our Valentine.
Yeah. Cronies?
Yeah,
nah,
we're all cronies, mate. Cronies. We're like the Droogs from Clockwork Orange, or the dudes from any Final Fantasy game. So we've got some good chat for you guys today. I've been in the market for a car, guys. I've decided to buy myself a car.
I remember you mentioning this.
Yeah. So I went down to Taupo the last weekend and I rented myself a car because the weather was absolute bollocks, and I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to ride down in my thermal wears and be soaked to the bone by the time I get to the stag do. So I rented myself a car from Auckland City there, and my God, is it luxurious?
Oh,
it's just a wee Toyota Corolla, but far out, felt like a bloomin' limo to me.
Just not being buffeted by the wind at all times is the best part. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that, and just chucking on some music and whatnot. Like I have to admit, it took me about an hour to figure out how the bloomin' Bluetooth worked. But we got there eventually, and there's like drink holders and everything. It's just what an eye-opening experience.
I remember when my parents were thinking about buying a new car, and this was when my sister was probably like maybe 14 or 15 or something.
Yeah.
And they were like talking about, what do you need? What do you need in a new car? Well, you need enough power to be able to get you around. It's got to be good on gas, has to have enough room and all that kind of thing. And my sister's sole input was, it's got to have at least 3 drink holders. It's got to be drink holders everywhere.
That's my kind of person. I completely agree with that. Not that any time I would have 3 drinks, just the fact that you may need 3 drinks. You just never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Without a drink holder, there's nowhere in a car to put a drink down. Nowhere.
Yeah.
True.
You
put especially in modern cars where the dashboard is like,
sloped
on like a 45-degree angle. There's no setting a drink down on that. It's just not happening.
No, it's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, who doesn't want a refreshing beverage when they're when they're knocking around in the car? But yeah, so I've been narrowing down my selection, and I've come to the conclusion that I probably want to get myself a wee European car, and even more specifically a VW. The guys who got caught up on the old emission scandal. I thought I might as well do my bit and support them.
They're going to need it, I think.
They obviously need some money, yeah.
Hopefully not a Beetle, though. You're not getting...
No, Jesus Christ, Reagan. You think less of me, man.
I'm just clarifying that, Abe. I'm just making sure.
No Beetles. Okay. Not a Beetle in sight. No, it's either a Golf or a Polo. So a wee hatchback. A nice sort of luxurious hatchback I've decided on. And I've noticed something as I've been... This happened when I was before I got my motorbike as well. I've been going around town and around the west suburbs of Auckland, and I've just noticed every second car now appears to be a VW Golf. Every single one. It's very akin to GTA syndrome, where you jump in a Sunrise or something like that, and then every second car will be a bloomin' Nissan Skyline.
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. I obviously it's just my brain now looking out for these sorts of things, but I've just noticed. I was like, oh wow, that's really weird.
It is definitely the way, for sure. When you just sort of start keeping an eye out for it. It's like at the moment I'm growing a beard, and now when I walk around and I see beards everywhere, I'm like, that guy's got a good beard.
That's amazing.
It just opens your mind to it, and you start seeing beards everywhere.
Yeah. Do you start rating them as well?
Yeah, in a weird way. You kind of look at it and go, yeah, guy's got a good beard. But then in the back of your mind, there's always that kind of element of, I could grow a better beard than that guy. Sort of a manly macho competition.
Yeah. I wonder if there's an app for that, like rate beards, and then you can jot down people's GPS locations. And
there should be an app for it. Hey,
it's like Pokemon Go, but for nice beards.
Bearded men.
Yeah. It's getting a bit strange there, but
That's good.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, I'm in the market for a car now, so I'm sort of on the lookout for something.
How far away do you think you are to actually buying one?
Oh man, I mean, it took me a good 3 months to settle on a pair of headphones that I liked. So we could be looking at anything up to, but not exceeding 5 years. It's just all. There's so many factors to weigh up. I mean, does it have the floor mats that I like? Do the wheels look like they should?
Yeah. Round, yeah.
Round, exactly. Yeah, there's no sort of right angles there. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey over the next 1,500 days.
I'm looking forward to hearing bi-weekly updates about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I just wanted to talk about, because this is hot off the press actually. I just watched the TGS demo for Final Fantasy 15. Now, this is the first half an hour of the game. I won't go into any spoilers as to what happened, though I couldn't really spoil much because most of it was kind of just walking around. But I've got to be honest, guys, I'm actually kind of on board with this now. For some different reasons than you might expect, but the whole vibe of the road trip thing is incredibly appealing to me. I don't think Final Fantasy's ever had anything like this, have they, before? I mean, you always go on a journey kind of thing, but have you ever had a band of mates and you're all just kind of knocking around together, maybe, I don't know, in a spaceship, in a car, whatever, driving around? Has that ever been a part of a Final Fantasy game?
No, I mean, it's pretty much always like you and one other person who you potentially know starting this journey, and then everyone else is made up from people you meet along the way. It's never really been a large pre-established group right from the start.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I've always liked those sort of road trip movies, where people are just going from one place to another and all the shenanigans that ensue along the way. Or even old school 80s films like Stand By Me, where it's just a group of kids going from one place to another, in this case to find a dead body. And this was it just gave me really good vibes of that sort of adventure and the sky's the limit kind of thing, and you're hanging out with a group of great mates. That in combination with the fact that it's hilariously Japanese, and I treat it as more of a comedy just because there's just these things that pop up. I was like, what the absolute buggery is going on now? They
sort of give themselves a comic relief just by being the characters that they are, right?
Yeah.
I always find that's the case with Japanese, like Final Fantasy games especially. They're so Japanese that you can't help but laugh.
It's true. I mean, even just, obviously, a key mechanic in 15 that's not been in previous Final Fantasy games is the car and the road trip aspect of it and driving around. And they even got like Japanese with that in two ways. In the campy way, and in one of the trailers it turns into what can only be described as the Batwing and flies away. Like, what the fuck is going on? But then also in the other Japanese way, which is the come on Japan, what the hell, where one of the pre-order bonuses you can get if you pre-order the game is every week you can go on the website and basically spin a roulette wheel. And you can win prizes, and you can win like a special custom-built Final Fantasy 15 PS4. You can win their clothes from the game.
A big thing with that.
Yeah,
Noctis's personal
but obviously,
socks.
a lot of things you can win are DLC codes, and the majority of the DLC codes are for the car, just ludicrous things for the car. So one of the ones that I've seen is, it's just Sid, that mechanic girl, just her spray painted all over the car, so you're just driving driving
amazing.
her around. Like it's
so
just so bizarre. It's so Japan.
There's a couple of other things I noticed as well, just really odd things. So when they're sort of walking around out in the wilderness, it looks like it's probably about, I don't know, 1 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and they've just had a battle and stuff, and they're out sort of slaying some creatures for that Sid lady. Yeah, as you do. And one of them just says, "Hey guys, let's set up camp." Like, what? It's like 1 to 2 p.m. and you're about 200 meters away from where your car is and the garage is. And then it just cuts in, it's nighttime and everyone's eating food around the campfire and having a good old yarn. And then once that's or you can choose what food you want to make, which is also pretty interesting. I was hoping there would be some sort of cooking mama mini game that comes up, but unfortunately there's not.
And then it just sure the one of the characters can actually level up his cooking level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I did see that appearing, and that's pretty cool as well. Like I never thought that would be an incentive for me, but apparently it is. And then it just cuts back again once you've finished eating it, and it's the same time of day as before you started cooking. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Did they just sit there for a whole day? What? Like what? And there's a tent. Did they go to sleep? What is going on? And one of the guys is just like inexplicably British. One of the dudes is just British, and the rest of them are American. Like what?
The glasses, dude.
What's going on?
I think the thing is they don't need to explain these things because eventually, like you play it so much that eventually it just is natural. Like at the beginning, it might seem like it's kind of breaking some barriers or you breaking down kind of your believability there, but I don't know. I think eventually you're just like, cool. It's like in 7, like this guy has like guns for his arm. That's weird at the beginning.
That's just accepted by everyone in the world.
But then eventually it's like, oh yeah, Barrett or Gunner.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Barrett. Yeah. So is that a normal thing with Final Fantasy? So like in this one, you get weapons. They sort of materialize in your hand, and you do battle, and then they disappear again. Is that just a thing that everyone's like, oh yeah, no, it's cool?
Pretty much. You have to assume going into it that it just has its own established lore, and you just don't question it. So from watching the movie, we learned that the established law was that the king has the ability to summon these weapons, and so everyone kind of in allegiance to him or in his army or whatever is borrowing that power and the ability to summon the weapons. So it's still like we don't have a full backstory. You just don't question it. You're like, oh, the power's on loan from the king. Or in this case, Noctis is the king's son, so it's like, well, it's obviously a blood thing. So he just somehow has that ability. You don't question it. It's just established in the world that
and they usually explain these
the royal
things
lineage can do it.
Because the games are so long and the narratives just twist and wind and all that kind of stuff. They usually have long sections where they'll explain this stuff or give you some backstory, and it kind of becomes clear. It'll be to do something to do with the lore of the game, and it will make sense. In Final Fantasy Japanese kind of way.
I'm just making notes here. Crazy internal logic.
Essentially, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, after watching that, I can take or leave all the combat and hacking scorpions for 5 minutes and all that sort of nonsense. But the theme and the vibe is really appealing to me. So I don't know. You never know. I might end up buying this one. It's not off the cards. It's not off the cards.
You heard it here today, people.
And in a couple of months, I'll be able to let you know if the food tastes any good.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, they'll have official Final Fantasy 15 meals, won't they?
Well, what I mean is I'm going to Aosia Cafe when we go to Japan, and while it's based on a different Final Fantasy game, the foods carry over across all of them. You know, it's always like behemoth steak and Marlborough cakes and all that stuff. Like the same creatures make appearances in every game. So I'll be having a big, thick behemoth steak and, you know, some Moogle puffs. I don't know.
We'll have to get a full on. We'll have to get a review. We'll have to get a review after you go to there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting.
The next thing I wanted to touch on is I'm not sure if you guys tuned into Tokyo Game Show over the last week.
I didn't. You sent me the link, and I think I tuned in on a really unfortunate point because I tuned in and it was just like some guy on stage just losing his shit, and I couldn't do it.
I've never watched a TGS live before, and this was the Sony press conference, and I've got to say, it was a sight to behold. Like this was like far more entertaining for me than E3. E3 was more like, wow, that's really cool. This was more like, oh my god, what the hell's going on now?
It's just what you always wanted, a VR girl in your room.
Oh, that was insane. That the summer lesson, sort of you're tutoring a Japanese schoolgirl over a series of months, I assume, and you're just somehow, some reason, in her apartment all the time, and it's just, I don't know if it's actually like educational, if it teaches you things, or
really?
what's.
I had no idea.
That's really weird.
Obviously, it's going to focus around anatomy. I would imagine.
Well, it is bizarre because, like you said, it's called summer lessons, and you assume it's a tutoring thing. But then at the same time, you see scenes where you're like sitting on a beach watching fireworks, or in a maid cafe while she's wearing skimpy clothes. You're like, well, what do you expect me to believe is going on here?
You've got to take a break from all that learning, man. Every now and then.
It sounds like a whole lot of just frustration, really.
I love the tag. One of the big sort of taglines that came up throughout it was "real human interaction." I was like, that is an absolute lie, and you know it.
You don't know it. Each copy of the game, you may be also purchasing the license to someone's life, and that, yes, you're seeing the digital representation, but you are actually interacting with another person wearing a VR headset who sees you.
Oh my god, that sounds. Imagine if that was revealed at the end. These were actually real people.
Yeah, they found a loophole. They can sell you people again now.
Like
slavery's back,
VR
guys.
Inception Truman Show.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of gaming, apparently involving slavery.
Amazing.
But yeah, my first TGS was a whirlwind of an experience, but overall a success. I had a great time. There was a part where Resident Evil 7 came on the screen. I was like, oh yeah, here we go, and then it was revealed to be some sort of Resident Evil 7 based music video for a Japanese pop band. And all the Resident Evil 7 characters are like involved in this music video, and I was like, I don't even like what. Like, is this something I'm going to buy? Like, what is this? Is this a game? Like, is this part of the game?
You've already paid for it with your soul for watching it.
That's what's going on. It was amazing. I was like, it was full on comedy to me. I was having a great time watching this because I was just like, what the hell is going on now? But yeah, I love TGS, and I'll be tuning into them every single year from now on. It's just amazing. But yeah, I think we'll move on to what we've been checking out this week. So, Balthazar, Deus Ex.
Yeah, I finished it, which is a pretty big accomplishment. I don't finish games lately, but I finished Mankind Divided. For better or worse, the ending was. I think you'll understand the ending, Abe, and actually maybe you as well, Reagan, but Abe, I know you were someone who was a big fan of the Halo series.
Yeah.
And Mankind Divided has a very, I would say, Halo 2 feel to it.
Oh, no, that's not good.
Where at the ending, it's like things are really building up and you feel like you're about to get somewhere. And it's not really a spoiler, so I won't give the context, I'll give the line. It's akin to Master Chief's, finishing the fight and then cuts to credits. But essentially, it's you track, or you don't track someone down, you decide that your next goal is you're going to track down who this person is. And so you say, look, you give them an ultimatum. Either they set up a meeting with me and meet me face to face, or I will find them. And then it cuts to credits. And so it's like that big sequel bait of like that big thing it's been building to. It's not going to happen in this game. You need to wait until the next game to actually have it happen.
That's really unfortunate. That sounds because when that happens in Halo 2, it feels like you're watching some sort of TV show. This is the finale, and it cuts off your broadcast cuts off just before the final ad break.
Yeah, it's like this is the finale, but we've decided to two-parter it. And so, so it was a really frustrating ending, but the game up to it was still really enjoyable. So I'd say it doesn't detract from the game as a whole because the plot of this game was already not on par with the previous game. It was already lower. So I was just enjoying this game for the gameplay, and that was still solid the whole way through. So it was still good.
Do you think
fun.
maybe they'll finish up the story with some DLC?
No.
No.
Like
It would be a massive kick in the teeth.
So I've played one of the DLCs because you get it free with the day one edition or whatever of the game.
Should I say
So here's the
expansion?
thing: when I finished the game, I found out I hadn't finished the game because there's this thing in the menu called Jensen's Stories, and they're basically side stories where you're Adam Jensen, and they take place during parts of the main story at points where there were just kind of gaps in the main story, or where not necessarily gaps, but where you went off to do something. And you know that some time passed while you were traveling or whatever, but because the focus of the main game was the main story, it didn't tell you all these little side things you could have done on the way. So it's using this Jensen's story things from the main menu to tell side stories of things that could have happened along the way. And I got one of them, and it was pretty cool. It was about 5 hours.
Sure.
Just one quest line. It probably could have been a lot shorter if you didn't set off every single security system right at the start and just be fucked the whole way through. But I did that, and so was a bit screwed. And there's already kind of a trailer up for the next one where it's kind of sitting there, but I can't select it because I thought I had it at first because it was sitting there on my menu and it wasn't grayed out, but I realised I couldn't select it. And that one looks really cool. But that seems to be what they're going to be doing moving forwards, is these Jensen stories, which I don't think are going to be used to finish the story. I think they're purely standalone side missions.
Right.
Also,
I'm going to put forth a statement that might be considered controversial.
Yeah.
About Deus Ex. So, the world of Deus Ex and the way it sort of feels, and the sort of gameplay and the choices mattering and all that sort of stuff. Would it be correct for me to use Deus Ex Human Revolution? Is that the newest one? Human Revolution.
Mankind Divided.
Mankind Divided. As a sort of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes to my Cyberpunk 2077. A sort of taster of what could be to come.
Somewhat.
Yeah,
I would say that's
okay.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. That's great. That's all I needed to hear. You've sold me.
So there's definitely there's something I need to point out because I haven't mentioned it before, and it's a huge flaw with the game. And the reason I've mentioned it is I didn't know it was there, but now I know it's there, and I would be doing a disservice to not tell people it's there. This is a single player game with microtransactions. Yeah, I didn't know. They're not hidden. They're just so not a part of the game that you can easily not know they're there. I didn't know they were there until I saw someone say there were microtransactions in the game, and I went looking for them. Now, they're not hidden. They're the thing called shop on the menu, which, to me, when I see shop on the main menu of a single-player game, I don't think microtransactions. I think this is where I go to buy DLC when it's come out. So I never clicked on it. If you click on it, though, you find out that it's like you purchase weapons and praxis kits, which are leveling up, and credits. So it's a microtransaction store. You can use it to buy in-game currency and basically buy levels, so you can just level yourself up straight away. Now, none of it's necessary. I found an abundance of credits, and yes, you don't get enough experience in one playthrough to level up, but when you finish it, you unlock New Game Plus, so you can just go through again and keep leveling up. So there's no need for it, but it still needs to be pointed out this is an exclusively single-player game with microtransactions in it.
Interesting. What were you going to say, Reagan?
Yeah, I sort of wonder with microtransactions, like, because usually if a game can be finished and enjoyed without them, and they're just in there for those people who want to use them, like, is it such a bad thing?
Here's the counter argument, is that it's there now, and like you said, it's innocuous. Like, it's not needed to complete the game, but it's there. So if people don't make a stand and fight it, it will continue to be there. And eventually, when it's just become accepted that it's a thing, there are microtransactions in games if the developer wants them to be there, that's when they start fucking with the in-game progression and making it that you need to start buying these things to do it, when you've already reached that point of kind of no return, where it's like you've accepted that they're there, you've effectively given up your right to battle it being there anymore, you've let us do this, now we're going to fuck with the in-game economy and progression system to make you need to use it to win.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one, because on the one hand, microtransactions are awful and I hate them. On the other hand, if it's not egregious and it's not evident,
Yeah,
and it's only harming yourself. Like, why would you want to leave it? Like,
Exactly.
that's part of the game.
thing
Like,
is,
I don't really have a problem with that. If you want to shoot yourself in the foot, go ahead.
And I think the biggest thing is that I didn't even know it was there until someone told me it was there and I went looking for it. This is not obvious at all. It's not in your face. It never at one point at all during the game tells you, even in a loading screen tip, which there are tips in the loading screens, not even a single one of those. It's like, hey, did you know we have a microtransaction store? Like, nothing about the game ever at any point tried to push me towards the store or tell me that the store was there.
And in that sense, it seems like an odd choice for the developers in a way, because you would, like, obviously you put microtransactions to try and make money, a little bit of extra cash in the pocket from your game. And when you make a sales point like that, shouldn't you want to make that front and center? So it seems odd that they've kind of like, they know that what they're doing is like something that gamers aren't that huge on, and yet they do it anyway, and they kind of just sort of put it to the side just in case.
It feels like it wasn't the developers. It was the publishers.
It'd be a Square Enix.
Money, so put it in. And developers were like, we don't want it in our game, so we'll put it in. But we're never going to tell anyone. So we're just going to say shop on the main menu.
Yeah.
And if you click on it, they'll see it's there. And if they don't, we're never going to point them towards it because we don't want this in our game.
And that's
it reeks of publisher intervention to me.
Which unfortunately is Square Enix, and I love them, but they're the publisher. So.
And I mean, the thing is, like, if we don't like it, then what we need to do is kind of vote with our wallets and not buy it. And then publishers go, well, actually DLC, or microtransactions, they don't really work.
Yeah.
So we'll stop doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Assassin's Creed where you go to open a chest and it says, oh no, you got to buy this many Uplay points to open this chest. Like, it's in my game, Ubisoft. It's literally, it's visualized in front of me. There's a chest that I can open, but you're just putting this fucking barrier in front of me, and it's just the worst thing ever. Yeah. I just remember being so angry when I encountered those.
They should just replace the chests with ATMs.
Be amazing.
And then at least you have that, visual sense when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, no, I need money to use this.
In 1300s Vienna, there's an ATM just in the wall.
And it's like, yeah, sure, that would break immersion, but so does a prompt coming up saying, hey, go to the store and buy a key.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all for that. I think that'd make Assassin's Creed a little bit more interesting. Balthazar, do you want to whiz through a few of the Blizzard Bonanza games you've been playing?
Oh, yeah, so then I've just been in the old Blizzard launcher, playing around, even played a bit of Hearthstone, because why not? But the main thing from Blizzard I've been playing, which I've been playing for the reason really, it was research, is I've been playing World of Warcraft.
Yes.
And I've been playing the latest expansion, Legion, and the reason I've been playing it is because I kind of wanted to know. So this game's 12 years old now, with this expansion having just come out. And so it would kind of have that, I guess, just idea around it, that if you've not played World of Warcraft before now, you can't just start playing World of Warcraft. This is a game that's been around for 12 years. Everyone who's playing it still knows what they're doing, knows how to play it. No one will accept me as a new player. It will take me way too long to get caught up.
Right.
So I used to play vanilla World of Warcraft back in the day, 10 years ago. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this expansion and I'm going to see if it is possible to start playing World of Warcraft now, 12 years after. And it is. It is. I have I played Demon Hunter, which is the new class they added, because I thought that would at least put me on par with everyone else in terms of everyone else playing that class. It's a new class. No one knows what they're doing, so that at least removes that element of me being worse than people who know what they're doing. And I went through the area. I'm now maximum level 110. I've got
within a week.
We start at level 98 with the Demon Hunter, so I only went up 12 levels. But I've done kind of all of the main areas. I've been exploring the maximum area. I've got high enough item level to do the raids. I've been doing some dungeons and getting the top DPS in the group of everyone who's in it. And kind of feel like I'm carrying it a bit. And so I guess what I've learned from this week, bearing in mind this is the first week, I've still got 3 weeks left to my subscription, though to be perfectly honest, I'm probably not going to use them all. Because I feel like, well, because there's a new map coming out for Guild Wars 2 next week, so that's going to be what I'm talking about in the next fortnight. But also, I feel like World of Warcraft, if you wanted to play World of Warcraft, you could absolutely get into it now. I'd say now is the best time. If you've been on the fence, this expansion is the most accessible. If you've been sitting there going, I want to start playing WoW, but I can't because I'm too far behind, you're not too far behind now. Jump in now and you can actually get caught up and start playing the game. But I would also say, if you've not been playing World of Warcraft up until now, pick another MMO. World of Warcraft, if you've not already been playing it, feels like a game that there's no point starting now. Because while I've been enjoying all my time with it so far, and it is it's a Blizzard game. It's super polished, it's super refined, there's a lot of lore in the world and everything.
Right.
But it doesn't do anything better than other MMOs that are out there. So if you're not already playing it, I don't see a point in starting to play it when there are better ones out there. So I mean, it's all, obviously it is opinion, but for me, I just can't see myself continuing to pay for and renew a subscription for WoW after my free 30 days ends, when I could just renew my Final Fantasy XIV subscription and go back to that, which for me feels like a much more evolved and developed MMO than WoW. Even though it's been out for less time, it's like it was originally built in a world where WoW already existed, so they had to do something bigger and better to get subscribers. So they did, they made the combat more developed. There's a fuckload more moves and stuff. Like in WoW, I just really feel like my abilities are very limited. There's not a lot of skills. There's sort of 15 skills or something on my Havoc Demon Hunter, whereas on my Dragoon and Final Fantasy got like 30 that I need to remember and keep track. Like, it just feels like feels like other MMOs tried to beat WoW because it was the Titan, whereas WoW, sitting there being the Titan, has just sat there continuing to be WoW and not pushed itself forwards.
Right.
And I think that's why, if you've not already been playing it up to this point, if MMOs don't grip you in general, but World of Warcraft does, then now is a good time to jump into it and you'll be able to get caught up. But if MMOs in general interest you rather than just specifically WoW, I would say look elsewhere, because most other MMOs out there offer you more than World of Warcraft does.
Right, so WoW paved the way for all these other MMOs, but they've long since exceeded it, kind of thing.
Exactly, and I'd also say the other thing is WoW feels very much more childish, not in terms of the visuals or even the story. The story's freaking intense for the most recent expansion, but the community, it feels like World of Warcraft is where all the kids are playing MMOs.
Right. So the matured gamer should
So it's like if I'm just sitting around in a town on Final Fantasy or Guild Wars, the chat will be typically relevant. People will be selling stuff, buying stuff, asking how to do something, and generally helping each other out. Whereas if I'm sitting in a town in World of Warcraft, someone will just be like, "Whoa, man, just smoked a fat doobie, tripping balls," and stuff like that. And it's like it really feels like it's just a bunch of try-hard teenagers trying to impress anonymous people online.
I've all been there.
Is not what I look for in an MMO community. So yeah, it's good. It's a good game, but I know a few other people playing it as well, which I think is what's keeping me playing it at the moment, rather than just renewing a different subscription. Is if I can play with them. But I don't know that it's going to keep going after my 33 days.
Interesting.
Good game, worth the experiment. And I'd say that at the end of it, I would have got my money's worth. The expansion was like $50. And I've probably already played 20 hours in this past week. So I'll have had my money's worth at the end of the 30 days in terms of hours put into it. But yeah, I don't know if I will continue it and if it will be a game that is added to my library as an ongoing thing or not.
Oh, there you go. Reagan, you've been slaying some demons.
Yeah, I have been, although there was a little bit of heartache to get there. So obviously when I went off to Europe, actually a little bit before I went off to Europe, the new Doom came out.
Yep.
And to quite sort of positive reviews and things as well. Like everyone's really enjoyed it. But I just never kind of had the time and never had the money at that point to put into it.
Yep.
So the night I thought to myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna pop into JB Hi-Fi and pick up a copy and for PC and give it a smash. And this was after a particularly stressful day at work, so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to I can rip some heads off some zombies and things.
Yep.
Which is just what you want to do after a stressful day at work. Going to JB Hi-Fi, get home, pop in the single DVD which was a little bit like, I was like, this is weird. How do they?
Yeah, that is weird. That would have been immediately a red flag.
Yeah. And so I was, I just didn't even think about it. Popped it in, and then it made like it was installing like a normal game, and it got maybe like 2% of the way through the install bar, and then Steam popped up, and a 50 gigabyte download started. 50 gigabytes, which is fine because it's a big game, etc., etc. But I would have thought they'd maybe put like as much of the game as possible on the DVD.
Yeah, so what purpose does the DVD serve? As far as I can tell, it's just an executable on there.
It comes with a piece of paper with a code written on it, and so I would assume that it's for you to put on your shelf, and the code just unlocks it in Steam. Like
so it's Doom code plus free Frisbee.
Yeah, essentially with Doom written on top of the Frisbee. Yeah. So that was a pain, and like in New Zealand, especially in some of the farther reaches of our cities and things, like the internet's not always amazing,
right?
Especially if you're just wanting to pay for the lowest speed kind of connection you can have. So our internet's fine. We've got an unlimited plan, that kind of thing, but it's not the fastest. So this 50 gigs took like a solid 2 days to download. Luckily, I didn't go home for a couple of days anyway, so it was all good. I just left it going. But anyway, all of that finally got it running, and it's cool. It's very fast paced.
It is. What do you think of that soundtrack?
Oh, the soundtrack's great. Actually,
it's
I was
so good.
Comment on the sound and the use of the sound in it, and like there's obviously all the demonic kind of their screams and their wails and all that kind of thing, but quite subtle things that perhaps not so subtle, but things that I thought were really well done. Like you've got that thumping kind of metal soundtrack, and when you go up and you do the glory kills, it sort of the soundtrack pulls out, and the music is kind of punctuated with the sound of you ripping pieces.
Oh, it's fantastic. In the intro, there's a really cool bit where you do the first sort of essentially the tutorial, and you first get outside, and right as a sort of the music hits a certain piece, he reloads, and it like makes it like it's part of the music. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it I've seen comparisons online to it being sort of like almost like a rhythm game, Guitar Hero, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But you just happen to be slaying demons as part of it. And it definitely is that you definitely get into that kind of that not grind, but that sort of mode of kind of shotgun run glory kill, shotgun run glory kill, until later on when you encounter some bigger demons and you've really got to work for it.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. I'm not huge on shooters, so that's never been my thing. So this was the one where I was like, everyone's really loving it. I'm going to get into it. I'm enjoying it, but it's not something that really grabs me. It's not the kind of thing where I can sit down and play it for like 4 or 5 hours straight kind of thing.
Right.
So I think for me, it's going to be the kind of game where I'll play it for 2 hours. You play something else for a bit, maybe.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I did is I played Doom and Pokken Tournament at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So I played a level of Doom, and then I played a ladder of Pokken, and then played level of Doom, ladder of Pokken, which
not simultaneously.
10 matches. No. So I just changed the channel. So I'd be like Wii U on one channel and PS4 on the other channel, and I'd just go level of Doom, quick 5 matches, and Pokken, level in Doom, 5 matches, level 5 matches, and it would just kind of break them both up because they're both repetitive games if you play them too much in a row, but fun in short bursts. So I just alternate between them.
Yeah, it's just nice having a game where you move on to the next level and you're sort of like, oh, this is different. I don't know why I'm here, but I don't really care.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's a very loose plot, and then it's like, you're on Mars, shit's gone to shit.
Yep.
And you've just
that should be the tagline.
Shit's gone to shit. You almost hate Doom Guy for it. I mean, you love him because he's Doom Guy.
Yeah.
But you're like, this game could have had a plot. That guy was trying to explain a plot to us, and then you just rip the terminal off the wall.
That's one of my favourite moments in the game. It's so good.
So my question is, how's it running? Because we both played it on PS4, and you're playing it on PC. So how's it looking?
It's fantastic. It's on ultra settings, and it is on solid 60 FPS the whole time. It's flawless. Yeah. I think maybe, I'm not sure, I would assume that the game is locked to 60 FPS if your PC is able to do it. Other than that, it's probably just my monitor, because it's a 60 Hz monitor, so it can only do essentially 60 frames. But yeah, it's great. Load times are super short, so if I die, it takes me kind of 3 seconds to be respawned, kind of thing. So it's great. And it's probably the first game I've had that's kind of really pushing a computer a little bit. It's just nice to know that it just does it. Yeah, it's cool. But aside from that, also The Witcher 2, still playing that.
We can't go one podcast without someone bringing up The Witcher, except for that one where I placed a moratorium on The Witcher.
Yeah, I think, okay, starting next week, we can't talk about The Witcher games unless a new one comes out.
Somehow.
How's that?
I'm fine with people talking about The Witcher. I just thought it was an interesting thing to point out. We should probably be receiving free shit by now from CD Projekt. CD Projekt, I think is the. It's interesting. It's the Polish way of saying it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So The Witcher 2 is great. It's kind of. I actually thought it was very close to, because The Witcher 3 was the first one I played. Jumping into it quite obviously, 2 iterations or 3 iterations into the franchise.
Yep.
But The Witcher 2, I was really impressed with. There's, you play The Witcher 1, and holy shit, that game looks like an old game, really old game, and you can't get that far in before you're like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna skip this. Yeah, I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video about what happens, and that'll do me.
Yep.
And then the leap from The Witcher 1 to The Witcher 2 is massive. The Witcher 2 looks really good on PC for the time that it was created.
Yep.
It came out the same year as Skyrim, I think.
2011.
Yeah, and compared to Skyrim, it just pisses all over it. And as far as its visuals, it's incredible. Looks really good. I would almost say in many ways, it's on par with The Witcher 3, but they didn't really have the technology at the time to kind of have the big expansive open worlds and play around with all of the things that they can do with that kind of world.
Right.
So they knew what they wanted to do, but they were a little bit confined by how much RAM a computer could have or whatever. So they could have maps a certain size, etc., or maybe their world streaming software wasn't there or something. But like the characters are way more fleshed out. The quests and things. Perhaps not quite as awesome as the ones in The Witcher 3, but really good. You can see that there's a few things that aren't quite as good as well. Like, for example, in The Witcher 3, if you're in the middle of a battle, you can smash back a potion as you're fighting, and you're good. Whereas in The Witcher 2, you've got to prepare, so you have to sort of sit down, meditate, drink your potion at that time, and that potion gives you sort of like 10 minutes of effect from it.
Right. Yeah, I was watching a documentary on the making of The Witcher 3, and that was something they addressed as sort of toning down the hardcore elements of the game to appeal to a broader range of players.
Yeah.
And I think they did a good job of that, because that is something that I would be like, that would be an annoyance for me if I had to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it in my mind it was okay, because in The Witcher 3 you had to meditate to brew your potions, so you had to take that time to create them, and then you use them on the fly. So it's just a matter of kind of thinking ahead a little bit more and going, okay, cool, I'm just going to drink them at the time. But I don't know. I don't think it was too big of a deal, but absolutely, like, and as far as kind of a mechanic that's going to actually capture people's imagination and want them to play, it's definitely better in The Witcher 3, which is cool. It's exactly what they were trying to do.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would say if there's anyone out there who was a huge fan of The Witcher 3 and you're kind of thinking to yourself, yeah, I might give the second one a go, definitely pick it up if you can. And if you've got a computer that's going to handle it on Ultra, it actually looks fantastic.
Yeah. You can get it from GOG for about less than $5.
Oh, so. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where I bought it from, and it was, maybe 10. I think I got Witcher 1 and 2 for like $20.
And the adventure board game?
I don't think so.
That was included in my bundle. It's
a
really? Digital board game.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool.
The Witcher adventure game or something.
Awesome.
I haven't played it, but...
Yeah. It sounds kind of like Gwent, right? Like the digital version of Gwent that they've made. Is that out yet? Do we know?
No, it's coming out. It's still, I don't actually know the release date for that. It's not too far away though.
Yeah, I reckon that's going to be huge, eh? I think
it looks really, really cool how they've like simulated how you're actually holding your cards and stuff. Like that's pretty interesting. And VR, I mean, why not?
Oh, is it? Oh, cool.
Oh, it's not confirmed VR, but I mean,
Probably would be.
It has to be. Like it's first person and you're holding. Why wouldn't you do that? Like,
Totally. So Witcher 2 is really cool. If anyone out there is kind of thinking about it, definitely give it a shot. And it's, maybe, like I say, don't worry with the Witcher 1. Like, you might think to yourself, oh, but I really want it, because I in my mind I was like, I'm going to get the Witcher 1 because I want to play through it and I want to know everything there is to know about the Witcher.
Yeah.
But just as a game, it's just a little bit. Yeah. It's been a little bit left behind.
If you want to know that much, read the books.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, do it. But aside from The Witcher 2 and Doom, which I've been kind of playing a couple nights a week, yesterday, and Balthazar's going to be stoked with this. Yesterday, I started a 14-day trial of Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, you did.
1 day per Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be, I would assume, if Balthazar's talking about like not necessarily playing WoW, 14 would be the one that he would recommend.
Yeah.
And I've never been a big MMO fan, to be totally frank. Like they seem clunky and not great, but perhaps that's because I played WoW. And I played Final Fantasy for maybe 3 or 4 hours yesterday. Didn't get very far because it's quite slow going, like trying to understand what the hell is going on. And, Balthazar likes to sort of express it as it learning a language, and it's very much like that. But I can see how this thing is going to be quite addictive. I'm a bit worried for my spare time. It's,
well, if you guys both end up playing Final Fantasy 14, I'm going to have to carry the what we've been playing section.
Yeah. So what have you been playing, eh? These 4 things, and we're just on the same thing. But it's really cool. It's there's always those kind of moments at the beginning of massive games like this where you're sort of just getting your head around the scale of it. And this thing, like even the city that I was originally spawned in, I had to figure out how to use the map correctly to even just be able to figure out where I was and where I had to go for the next kind of quest point and things like that.
Yeah.
And if that kind of thing took me a while to get my head around, I'd imagine the game is going to just be like on a scale that is just, it boggles the mind. But so I got in and I started a character, just like a sword wielding guy with like cat ears, and and which was cool. And they told me where to go to kind of kick off my quest, that sort of thing. And got to the point where I'd done a few quests, and then they told me to go outside the city for the first time. Went outside, and just outside there were kind of like a couple little animals that I had to kill. And then they gave me like a hunter's log, I think is what they're called, where you've got to go through and kill 3 of these certain types of creatures in these areas. And immediately, straight away, I was just like, oh, yes, like a thing that I can complete. Like suddenly there's like a smaller chunk of work for me to do within this massive, overwhelming world where I can go, sweet, I can actually do this to 100%.
It's broken into stages as well.
Yeah, and straight away I was like, boom, addicted. Like, I've got to go in there and get all these animals kind of thing. So it's a bit scary, actually. I think I can feel the addiction creeping in.
Yeah.
But so I've got 14 days to see how it goes, and I'd imagine on the next podcast we'll make a call as to whether or not I continue with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear, because I must admit I do have a stigma on MMOs, being that the only experience I've really had with them were various friends of mine being addicted to RuneScape back in the day, and then a small dabbling in EverQuest many years ago, sort of thing, and the South Park episode Make Love Not Warcraft, about the World of Warcraft. That's my experience with MMOs, so I've always seen them as kind of like lower fidelity, kind of lots to do, but they don't really look very good, or like they're not that like enthralling. But I think that's a bit of an archaic mindset. It sounds like at this point. So yeah,
I'll be a gorgeous game to look at. So
yeah, I'll be interested to hear both perspectives. Someone who's a veteran Final Fantasy 14 player and someone who's sort of new to the series as to
kicking off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
write
both
a
your
little bit
perspectives.
about it as well. So if you're interested, keep an eye on the website, and we'll have some words there for you.
Very nice. Well, I've only been playing one thing pretty much this entire last fortnight, I think, and that is a game that I've been waiting to go on sale for so long. I think this game came out the start of last year, and I haven't, and it's been like $70 on the PlayStation Store, and even the physical edition, which I'm surprised there is a physical edition, but like Shovel Knight and Prison Architect, apparently there is the need for a physical edition. That was at least like $50 to $60 in stores. So I'm like, ugh. This game is the Talos principle, and it's finally been discounted. It was on sale last week for $26.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was still kind of hesitant because I was like, well, it's an indie game, I pay that much for it. And then I was like, look, I just dropped like $90 on No Man's Sky. A game that I played for like probably a week and then dropped it entirely. So yeah, no, and I was like, well, you know, I like Crow Team and I like Serious Sam, and obviously Balthazar, you've sung its praises as well.
Yeah.
So I decided, yeah, I picked it up and I've been playing the Talos Principle. Now, this is a really, really good game. It's a puzzle game. Like, first and foremost, that's what it is. It's a puzzle game, and that's great for me because that's possibly my favorite genre, that or platformers. So I've been having a blast with this game. I've been playing it I've been being very antisocial this week after work. I've been playing it probably for about 4 hours a day after work, maybe. So I've put in like approaching like 20 hours kind of thing into this game, and I'm still not done. Now, it is kind of wearing on me now because the puzzle variety can only get so complex and deep before it just becomes completely overwhelming, and you're like, oh god, now there's this thing and I have to do this thing while this thing's going and all this sort of stuff. It's really cool because there are objects with certain mechanics and you figure these out and how to open force fields and things, and it's essentially just like your very, very basic puzzle game. Wrapped on top of that is a really interesting philosophical Soma-esque story about machines and consciousness and all this sort of crazy stuff. It's kind of like Soma mixed with The Witness in terms of its story, this sort of pseudo-philosophical stuff, and but it's really well done. And just little details I've noticed when you sort of encounter these computer terminals scattered around the place and you type on them, and yeah, he actually uses like DOS prompt commands and things like that, which I thought was really cool. They obviously, you know, they know what they're doing and stuff like that. And they've animated it so when you type on the keyboard, A, he uses correct, you know, typing position, which I thought was amazing. and B, they've animated every single key press. Like, every single one. You see him and he's like typing and the sound effects all match up to the key presses and stuff. Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's the level of attention to detail that I'd imagine you really appreciate in games.
Yeah, I do. It's, you know, cloth physics and things like that. Just all the nonsense that a lot of other people would probably just skim right past is the stuff that makes me appreciate it, you know, and builds a game up to being good in my mind. So at this point, I am kind of growing a wee bit tired of it, just because it does seem to be just introducing new mechanics for the sake of making things more difficult now. So I'm kind of like, I'm slowly getting my way through there, and I'm getting to the point where it's becoming one of those busy work games where I chuck on a podcast or whatever and just enjoy trying to figure out these puzzles. But it is really, really good, you know, for the first 15 hours or what have you. Really, really enjoyable, and it's still not a bad game now.
Sounds like it has longer lasting, you know, staying power than No Man's Sky.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Without a doubt. But yeah, it is. I feel like it should maybe have been a bit shorter. I think I would have enjoyed it if it was a 10 to 15 hour game and it just stopped there. But I can't fault it for having more content, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
well, it's hard to complain at that, is it?
Yeah, but it is, you know, it is wearing on me a wee bit and stuff like that. But I'd find it hard to have it lose points for that sort of thing. So no, I really recommend Talos Principle if you're into puzzle games at all, or those wee epiphany moments that you get from things like Portal, or you know, any of those sorts of games. Thomas Was Alone, anything like that. Highly recommend Talos Principle. It's good. $26 still on PlayStation Store. It's like 69% discount or something.
That's
so
great.
Yeah,
it's still like 48 on Steam. So that is about the cheapest you'll get it anywhere.
Yeah, and this was the Ultimate Edition or whatever you call it. So you get the Road to Gehenna, which is the DLC as well, which is included in it, which is awesome. So there's even more content there for when I finish the main story. This could become a Witcher 3 scenario where that game I will be playing for the rest of my life. But yeah, I think that's probably about what we've been playing this week. Now, news, guys. How do you guys feel about the news? It's not very sexy usually, is it?
Not really. We sort of just ramble on. I think Abe, we might need to mix it up a little bit.
I think so too, Reagan. I mean, it's the equivalent of turning on, this is probably a pretty outdated reference now, but turning on TV1 or TV3 and seeing what's his face, Walrus, Mark Sainsbury, or Heather Duplessis Allen and Duncan Garner just waffle on about some nonsense and just it's a bit dry. I've done something different with the news this week, guys. I have created a quiz, officially titled 7 days and up to but not exceeding another 7 days. So I hope you've been knocking up on your knowledge of the news in the last 2 weeks.
Cause
I have not either, but we'll give this a shot anyway.
That is absolutely brilliant to hear. All right, so you've each got yourself a buzzer there. Do you want to test those out? That was you, Balthazar?
Yep.
That's me.
That's Reagan. All right, we're good to go. So essentially, I've assigned a point total for each one of these questions.
Okay.
And I'll read you out the question, and then I'll read you out the point total, and then once I've finished reading out the point total, you guys can buzz in.
So we have to wait until the point total is done?
I mean, you can buzz in beforehand if you want. There will be more points given for more, dense answers, the answers that I'm looking for. So okay. I would wait until the point totals are read out.
Do we get bonus points if we just try hard? Like, for example, if I don't know
Kiwi Kids Triathlon Participation Medal. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, that sounds like a bit of me. If we can have maybe a couple of points divvied out for that.
I'll tell you what, that's not good for kids. That's not good for showing kids what the real world's like. And I won't be having any of it.
All right. Okay, good. All right.
You'll get no blimmin' Australian maths participation nonsense with me. Right, here we go. So, question 1. Which beloved franchise announced a themed PS4 at Tokyo Game Show earlier this week? This is worth 1 point. Reagan.
Final Fantasy 15.
That is correct, Reagan. 1 point to you, sir.
Boom.
You should have got that down. Yeah. I should have even talked about it earlier. I said you could win it on the site.
All right. Question 2. We've got 10 questions, by the way.
Okay.
Just made it clear. So, I'll just read out the news story to go with that one, just so people get a bit more of a background. So, PlayStation is celebrating its storied history with the Final Fantasy franchise by releasing a Final Fantasy 15 bundle, which includes a custom PS4 Slim, Final Fantasy 15 Steelbook, controller, Kingslab Blu-ray DVD, and bits of DLC. That'll be coming November 29th, and it's available exclusively to GameStop. So that will be EB in New Zealand. So obviously no one's going to buy it. I would. Let's move on to question 2. All right. How did Hideo Kojima describe Death Stranding in terms of its gameplay? Now, I'm looking for 4 keywords here, and there's 4 points up for grabs.
So if we give...
Buzz in. You got to buzz in.
You can ask a question if you want.
I'm questioning your question. If we give just like 1, is that a point?
That's a point, yeah.
Okay, so he said he wants it to be, I'm trying to think of the exact word he gave, not free, but give a sense of freedom.
Well, you get 1 point from that, Balthazar. You got one of the key words. Yes, Reagan.
Did he mention the world? Did he say it was an open world?
That is correct. That's two of the words I was looking for. I won't count that as a compound word. That's 2. Yep.
Did you say it was a multiplayer or cooperative experience?
That's not the ones I'm looking for, I'm afraid. There's one word that you guys both haven't said.
Good.
Reagan.
Did he say it was going to have Norman Reedus in it?
No, Norman Reedus was not the word I was looking for.
Damn it.
We'll probably cap that one off there. The fourth word I was looking for. So this is the full sentence. He described it as open world with a degree of freedom.
Yes.
Degree of freedom. So I don't really know what that means, but apparently it's going to have a degree of freedom.
Not complete freedom.
Not complete freedom, apparently.
Just
So
saying.
Kojima spoke at Tokyo Game Show detailing a couple of new details on Death Stranding, including that it would be open world to an extent. He also then rambled on some nonsense about sticks, rocks, and rope all being weapons of the past, and how his game was going to involve some sort of joining together of the minds and people holding onto the same rope. I don't know. It was absolute nonsense. He then also put up a graphic on screen that showed a sort of chibi version of himself, Guillermo del Toro, Norman Reedus, and what looked like Mads Mikkelsen, who's the new Hannibal Lecter, holding hands. So it looks like I'm not really too sure what
Get
we
her
can
in, guys.
do.
Get her in a bit closer. Bit closer. Okay, smile.
It was very, very strange. But yeah, so that's all well and dandy. Question 3, guys. Earlier this week, The Last Guardian was announced as delayed until December this year. Now, if and when it does release, how many years will it have been since it was first announced? This is worth 1 point. Regan.
I'm going to guess and say 6.
No, unfortunately, that's not what I was looking for.
All right, I'm not buzzing then. Again, we don't know. It's just a one guess each game. I'm going to say 10.
Ooh, you're just off. Unfortunately, it was 9. 9 years.
Close.
The Last Guardian was announced in February of 2007.
Wow.
So it's been a while, and the sort of February this year, The Last Guardian will have been in development for 9 years. This still pales in comparison to Duke Nukem Forever, which was first announced in 1997, released in 2011, and turned out to be a massive pile of shit.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, no points for anyone there, but we'll move on. Upon reveal, the PS4 Pro was lacking one key feature people thought was a given.
Damn it.
This is worth 1 point.
It was the fancy ass disc player.
Ooh, I can't accept that. I'm afraid.
A 4K Blu-ray movie player.
It is correct. The 4K Blu-ray player.
Come on. That's
This
pretty
was-
fancy ass.
This was thought to be included with the new system there. Unfortunately, it was revealed not to include a 4K Blu-ray player, the PS4 Pro. Despite no one actually owning DVDs anymore, people were absolutely livid. So it's obviously another case of internet mentality where people are angry at something they wouldn't even use.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, Sony, that's put you down a few pegs in people's eyes. We'll move on to the next question here. Now, this is one you guys should all know because I know we all love the Xbox One. Xbox One platformer Recore was released earlier this week to a very mixed reception. As of right now, without going on the internet, I trust you guys, what's its average score on Metacritic? Now, this will give you up to 10 points.
6.3.
6.3?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough. It's no, I'll give that to you. So you were saying 6.3 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 63. You got
Oh, that was a complete guess. Like,
got to bang on.
I've been looking at general grading criteria that people give to things, and controversial or mixed is generally meaning it's on the low end of things, low end being less than 7, because no one likes to give less than 7. But typically a 0.3 is always in there.
Yeah,
Oh.
63. I was weighing up whether to give it to you because it was 63. But no, that's exactly right. If you convert it to out of 10 as opposed to out of 100, 6.3 is bang on. So you get 10 points for that.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Absolutely smashed it. Right, moving on to the next one. Following the trend of Japanese IPs being delayed, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 won't be coming out this year. What's its new release date? And I want the month and the year for up to 2 points.
What the year?
I want to say February 2017.
You get 1 point with that one, Balthazar. Reagan, do you want to chime in?
I'm going to say April 2017.
Well, you both get 1 point. It was 2017. The new month is January.
Oh.
So not too long to wait for that one. So we've got the people who are pretty pissed about this one. Even more so that Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't mentioned at all during TGS. Needless to say, Square Enix has some splaining to do. People are very irate from what I can see online.
At least they put up a nice new trailer to break the news for 2.0.
It's true. They did. And what a kick in the teeth it was when that January 2017 came up on the trailer. Now, this one's a bit more cryptic, so listen carefully. Which revolving PS2 classic is looking to be coming to the PS Store soon? 1 point for this one. Reagan.
Revolving classic. Crash Bandicoot?
No. Unfortunately, it's not what I'm looking for. Remember to listen to the which revolving PS2 classic is looking to be coming to the PS2.
Red Dead Revolver?
That is correct. That is
Yes.
Red Dead Revolver. This appeared briefly on the Australian PlayStation Store with a release date of September 13th. It's now September 18th, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It's since been pulled down and the offending employee beaten mercilessly, I would assume.
Yeah.
So that is that is 1 point for you, Reagan, there. All right. Sonic, everyone's favourite console mascot, will be making a controversial return to console next year. What will be the name of the rodent's newest 2D adventure? 2 points for both words.
God damn it.
Balthazar.
2 points, I'm assuming a point for a word.
Point for a word, that's
I'm gonna
correct.
Say Sonic.
Yep, you got 1 point.
2D.
Unfortunately not. Not what I was looking for. Reagan.
One of them, Reagan, you get at least one.
Yeah. I don't know. You can have that one.
Do you not want to get it 1 point for just saying Sonic, Reagan?
Okay.
Yep.
Sonic
Yep.
Stories.
Unfortunately not. No, Sonic Stories is not the one I was looking for. The correct name of the game is Sonic Mania. That is the 2D. Sonic fans are once again holding out for something that isn't complete nonsense. Unfortunately, it looks like Sega just can't help themselves, and Mania comes alongside yet another gritty 3D Sonic game, which looks to be about as good as you would imagine.
Yeah.
So close.
Is he going to be King Arthur again?
Well, we'll just have to see. I'm not entirely sure. Watch the trailer for the 3D Sonic and weep quietly to yourselves. Recommend. Playground Games' third iteration in the Forza Horizon series will be out later this month. But on which continent will the game take place? Reagan.
It will be in Australia.
That is correct. It is on the West Island over there with our friends in Aussie. Actually looks to be quite a good game. I've never been to Australia before, despite only living 2 hours away by plane. And I think I might continue that trend and maybe just pick up Forza Horizon for PC if it ever, the Xbox Play Anywhere thing ever comes around. But yeah, looks interesting. I mean, it would be offensive to take a car and plow it into Uluru. I'm wondering if they would allow you to do that.
I wonder if they have, because in Australia you've got to be watching out for like rogue kangaroos and things. I wonder if they have that in the game.
That would be pretty cool, but would turn it into more of a Carmageddon / Grand Theft Auto.
I suppose.
Yeah. Probably the rating would be moved up for needless animal cruelty. So we're up to the last question here. So you guys get ready. This is worth up to 4 points.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I want you to name 3 new features. 4 new features. That was stupid. in the PS4 4.0 firmware update released earlier this week. Balthazar.
So creating folders.
Yep, that's one.
Does the complete rehaul count? Like, as in when you're in a game, the actual kind of cross menu you bring up when you hold the button down, how it has the ability to look at what trophies you still need to unlock from the game with the game still playing?
Not one I would count really as a new feature. I mean, that's debatable. But it isn't one I've got written down, so I'll have to say no.
All right. No, that already was a feature. Another key one, I just remembered it already existed. No, I'm out. I don't only have folders.
just the folders? Yep. Reagan.
Okay, well, there's folders.
Yep.
There's HDR support.
That is correct. There's HDR support.
You can have more people in the communities. You can have up to like 100,000 people in like a community.
Can you use those things?
I don't know that anyone used them. Is that one you've got on your list?
Yeah, it is one I've got on my list.
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't know what the other one is.
There's one more you guys haven't touched on there.
Well, you didn't even write down the only one I cared about, which is checking trophies while you're playing the game. So your list is shit.
The last one is you can use a screenshot you've taken as a cover image to personalize
I even did
profile.
that. I have a picture of Geralt fucking crying. If you go to my profile on PS4 and look, yeah, I set a cover image. Oh, I didn't even think about it.
Of a weeping Geralt.
Yeah, it's great. There was another one as well, which obviously it's not a proposed feature because they don't want to acknowledge that their system was complete dog shit before. But everything just runs better now. Like bringing up the menus within games, there's no delay anymore. There's no lag or anything. Like the PlayStation Store opens much faster. You can start and stop downloads much faster. Everything just runs the way you would expect it to now instead of running like dog shit.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I've noticed that as well. There's not much input lag anymore, maybe none. That's cool. I wouldn't really count it as a feature, but yeah, definitely an overhaul. An overhaul of the UI in general and stuff like that. So that brings us to the end of 7 days and up to but not exceeding another 7 days. And the total scores at the end of this first week, Balthazar, you're leading the pack with 17.
What?
Yeah, he got 10 points for the 6.3.
Yep.
And Reagan, you're on 9.
Oh, a miserly 9.
hey, it's it could be anyone's game.
Yeah.
I'm going to chuck in some questions in the coming weeks with just arbitrary point values, so you never know. There might be one worth like 47.
Excellent.
Yeah, never know. So yeah, that's been the first week. Hopefully that's been entertaining for people. It's been a good lot for us. So I think we'll move on to the final bit of the show. Now, we advertised a couple of weeks back there. We'd be talking about our top 10 games, the games that influenced us, will always hold a special place in our heart, and sort of maybe crafted our tend towards a certain genre or certain type of game that we follow now. And Balthazar is going to kick things off talking about one of these games that he cherishes dearly.
Sure will. So I guess I have a question before we get started, which is obviously I've got my list, and it's in no particular order.
Yep.
Do we want to order things in any particular way? Like, do we want to have any kind of structure to it?
I don't think we do.
No, I think that's absolutely fine to put them in just 10 games. Like, I mean,
yeah.
It's way too hard for me to think what my top 10 like in a chronological sequential order are.
So what I might do then is I'll start this week. I'll try to find one each week that's topical or related to what we've been talking about in some way.
Yep.
So one game, the first game I'm going to talk about from my list of top 10 is Warcraft 3.
Very nice.
Warcraft 3 was not the first RTS I've played. I played Age of Empires before, but it was the first RTS I played a campaign in. First RTS that had a story, that the story wasn't just conquer the enemy armies, it was actually a narrative.
Right. So this released in 2002?
Yep.
Back then?
With Frozen Throne, I believe, coming in 2004, maybe?
Yep, that looks about right, yep.
And I loved this game. Frozen Throne particularly, it was a really interesting way. I mean, I've always been into narrative games, but this was kind of a new and interesting way of telling a narrative that I've never experienced before, which was kind of, it was told to you while the action was going on in a way that you couldn't miss it. So in other games, you know, if you were being told something like, for example, in Metal Gear Solid, it would take you out of the action for a codec call or a cutscene. There was none of that kind of live conversation while you were playing, so you were either in story mode or not, whereas Warcraft 3 was while you're building up your bases and kind of getting things to the point where you can move out and defeat the enemy army, you've got those little dialogue boxes where people are talking to you and they're telling you what's going on and they're telling you the story. And for me, this was the first game I played where, the narrative was a part of actually playing the game and not something separate that you were taken out of the game to experience.
Right, so Half-Life-esque? No cutscenes kind of thing?
Yeah. And I mean, there were cutscenes, but they were few and far between. It was like kind of start of the campaign and end of the campaign, there would be a cutscene.
Yep.
And I loved it. I loved the way the stories were told in it. I loved that it was like, it was an RTS, so I could, have that power trip, especially because in campaigns, the AI is stupid as fuck. So you just sit back and you just amass this unstoppable force, and then you just roll across the map, crushing everything. And it was in a rich world. I mean, as I said earlier when I was talking about World of Warcraft, there's a lot of history to this world. There's a lot of cool stuff they've always done with it right from the start. I say the start. Warcraft 2 was the first one I played. I played it after Warcraft 3. But there's always been a lot of lore and history in this world, and so again, Warcraft 3 was just an RTS with an incredible story and this incredibly rich world that it took place in. And of course, Warcraft 3 was relevant up until recently. With the modding support it had. I mean, it birthed the MOBA genre.
Absolutely.
The modding tools and community for this game were huge. And that was another part of what I loved about it, just that you could play these custom games. You could go on and you could download these maps and you could play, and basically people could create entirely new games and genres within this game for you to play. And it was always a lot of fun.
Was that supported by Blizzard, the modding?
Yeah, it was. So it was like the tool was given to you with the game by Blizzard, and they would feature mods that they felt were good, and they'd kind of give them a thumbs up and say, hey, have you tried this mod, and give it to you kind of thing. And they got nothing for it. That it was just promoting continued community for their game.
That's really cool.
Yeah, was kind of another thing that put Blizzard, I guess, as a developer on my radar, as a developer that really does, care about the people that play their games, and they want to keep them interested and keep them invested in the worlds that they create. So yeah, absolutely, Warcraft 3 takes a spot on my top 10 list. Again, not ranking things, so no idea where on the list it would appear, but it's definitely a game that developed kind of the games that I enjoy playing now, being narrative games. It got me to think about them in a more critical way, in that way that just, why can it only be told to me statically out of action? Why can't I be given the story while I'm playing the game?
Right.
And Warcraft 3 did that, and it got me to question when other games didn't do it, and I loved it for it.
So this was your first Blizzard game, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Awesome. And Blizzard would be your favourite developers?
They're up there. Overwatch, still probably my game of the year from this year. Love StarCraft 2. I've been enjoying World of Warcraft, been playing it. Love Diablo 3. Every time there's a new season out, I play through that. So definitely, I wouldn't necessarily say they're my favourite developer, and that, they put out a game, it's not automatically going to get my game of the year or anything like that. But they're definitely, I think, one of the most valuable developers in the gaming world.
Right. They have a good mentality about them, and they're doing everything for generally artistic integrity.
Exactly, yeah. And they definitely, we want to keep them around.
Yeah. Awesome. That's very cool, man. All right. Well, that's Warcraft 3 for you, and we'll have another top 10 coming up next week. I think, Reagan, if you want to jump in with one next week, man. Sorry, next fortnight, I should say. So stick around for that, and we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. Take care out there.
Ciao.